Hello and welcome to English Audio Stories. This is your place to relax and enjoy learning English through simple stories. In every video, you'll hear clear English that helps you grow your vocabulary and listening skills. So take a deep breath, listen carefully, and enjoy the story. A message in the bottle. It was a warm afternoon in late summer. Emma was walking along the quiet beach near her grandmother's house. The waves rolled gently onto the shore, leaving behind seashells, bits of seaweed, and smooth stones. Emma loved this time of year. Most tourists had already gone home, and the beach felt like it belonged only to her. As she walked, something unusual caught her eye. Among the shells and driftwood, there was a green glass bottle half buried in the wet sand. Sunlight reflected off its surface, making it shine like a jewel. Emma bent down and picked it up. The glass felt cold, and inside, she saw a rolled-up piece of paper. Her heart skipped a beat. A message in a bottle? She had only read about them in books or seen them in films. With shaking fingers, she tried to open it, but the cork was stuck tight. She decided to take it back to her grandmother's house. When she arrived, her grandmother was in the kitchen making tea. "Look what I found," Emma said, holding up the bottle. Her grandmother adjusted her glasses and smiled. "Well, that's something you don't see every day. Let's open it carefully." They worked together, using a small knife to loosen the cork. Finally, with a soft pop, it came out. Emma tipped the bottle and pulled out the paper. It was yellowed with age and smelled faintly of salt. She slowly unrolled it, and her eyes widened. The message was written in faded ink. It read, "To whoever finds this, I need your help. Follow the clues to discover the truth. It all begins at the old pier." Emma looked at her grandmother. "What do you think it means?" Her grandmother's smile faded slightly. "The old pier hasn't been used in 50 years. The next morning, Emma woke up early. The air was cool, and a thin mist hung over the sea. She couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious note. What truth could be hidden at that old pier? After breakfast, she packed a small backpack with a bottle of water, her phone, and a notebook. Her grandmother watched her from the doorway. "Be careful, Emma," she said. "That pier is falling apart. Don't go too far out." Emma promised and set off along the beach. The walk took nearly an hour. The closer she got, the more the air smelled of salt and seaweed. Finally, she saw it. Wooden beams sticking out of the water like the ribs of a ship. Most of the planks were broken, and the entire structure leaned dangerously to one side. She stepped onto the first few boards, testing each one before putting her weight on it. The sound of the waves was louder here, and the seagulls circled overhead. In the middle of the pier, Emma spotted something unusual. A small tin box tied to one of the posts with a piece of rope. The box was rusty but still closed. She untied it and opened the lid. Inside was a folded map. Parts of it were smudged, but she could still see a rough drawing of the coastline, marked with a red X. Beneath the X, there were 3 words. Under the willow. Emma's mind raced. There were many willow trees near the river that flowed into the sea, but she knew one in particular, an enormous old tree at the edge of the village park. It had been there for as long as she could remember. She put the map into her backpack and looked once more at the pier. Something about this mystery felt bigger than she had imagined. She didn't know who had left the bottle or why, but she was certain of one thing: she had to follow the clues. The sun was high by the time Emma reached the village park. The air was warm, and the distant sound of children playing mixed with the rustle of leaves. She headed straight for the enormous willow at the far edge. Its long branches hung down like a green curtain, swaying gently in the breeze. Emma pushed the branches aside and stepped into the cool shade beneath the tree. The ground was soft and covered with fallen leaves. She studied the map again. The red X was marked right at the base of the tree, but she saw nothing unusual at first glance. Kneeling down, she began to brush away leaves and dirt. After a few minutes, her fingers touched something solid. It was a small wooden box, no bigger than a book. The wood was dark and slightly damp, but the lid was carved with a simple symbol, a star. She opened it carefully. Inside was a short note, written in the same faded handwriting as the first message. "You are close. The truth is hidden where the sea meets the stone." Emma frowned. The sea meets the stone. She thought of the coastline again. There was one place that fit that description perfectly: the old sea caves about 2 kilometers north of the beach. They were carved into the cliffs, and the waves crashed against them at high tide. She slipped the note into her pocket and stood up. Just as she was about to leave, she noticed something else in the box: a small silver pendant in the shape of a seashell. It looked old, but still shone in the sunlight. She hung it around her neck, feeling its cool weight against her skin. Emma glanced back at the willow, wondering who had left these clues and why. The sea caves were far, and the tide would be coming in soon. If she wanted to reach them safely, she would have to hurry. Emma followed the narrow path along the cliffs, the sound of the waves growing louder with every step. The air smelled of salt, and seagulls drifted lazily above her. She kept glancing at the horizon, watching the tide. If it came in too quickly, the caves would be impossible to reach without getting trapped. After half an hour, she spotted the entrance to the largest cave, a dark opening in the rock, half hidden by sea spray. The stone was slippery under her shoes as she climbed down. Inside, the air was cool and damp, and drops of water fell from the ceiling. Light from the entrance reflected on shallow pools, creating shifting patterns on the walls. Emma's eyes scanned the cave. At first, she saw nothing but smooth stone and patches of seaweed. Then, in a small alcove near the back, she noticed something unusual: a glass jar wedged between 2 rocks. Inside was another piece of paper, rolled up tightly. She carefully pulled the jar free and opened it. The note inside was longer this time. "If you have come this far, you must know the story. 50 years ago, something precious was hidden to protect it from those who would misuse it. Find the last clue where the river meets the sea." Emma's mind flashed to the place where the village river flowed into the ocean, a wide sandy bank with a small wooden bridge. She had been there many times as a child. Before leaving, she ran her fingers over the cave wall and noticed faint carvings, shapes of stars and seashells, like the pendant she wore. They were almost worn away, but they seemed to confirm that she was on the right path. She slipped the note into her backpack, took one last look at the cave, and began the climb back up the cliff. The final clue was waiting, and she had no intention of stopping now. The afternoon sun was beginning to sink when Emma reached the riverbank. The tide was low, and the wooden bridge cast a long shadow over the rippling water. She could hear the gentle flow of the river as it met the ocean waves. Emma studied the area, remembering the map and the clues. She walked slowly along the bank, scanning the ground for anything unusual. Near the base of the bridge, she saw a patch of sand that looked disturbed, as if it had been dug up recently. Kneeling down, she began to dig with her hands. After a few minutes, her fingers hit something hard. She pulled out a small metal box, its surface worn but still intact. The same star symbol was engraved on the lid. Her pulse quickened as she opened it. Inside lay several items: a faded photograph of a young woman standing on the very same bridge, a letter sealed in an envelope, and a second pendant, identical to the seashell she was wearing. Emma opened the letter carefully. The handwriting was the same as on the earlier notes. To the finder, my name is Margaret, and I once lived here. During a time of danger, I hid these things so they would not be lost. The pendants belong to my sister and me. They are a sign of trust. If you hold them, you carry our story forward. Emma looked at the photograph again. The woman's smile seemed warm and familiar, though Emma was sure she had never met her. She closed the box, feeling the weight of the moment. The mystery was solved. Not a treasure of gold or jewels, but a piece of someone's history, preserved across decades. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma stood on the bridge, the two pendants in her hands. Somewhere in the sound of the waves and the river's flow, she thought she could almost hear a voice whispering, "Thank you." Great job. You listened to the whole story in English. The more you listen, the better you get. So keep going and come back for more. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.